Your children are your very best investment. And when Dennis talked about our getting those business class seats, it wasn't that we feel that we're better or fancier. We just arrived refreshed for our business day so we could maximize our time. You can always get more money. You just can't get more time.
Dan Ulin runs Elite Student Coach, and he works with super high achieving young adults and makes them even more exceptional. And I've had the pleasure of being with Dan all over the world. We've been in Pakistan and LA. We've been in movie studios.
Yeah, we've been in
India.
And yeah, we've been in India. We've been in Dubai. We've been in the Philippines. We've been all over.
Yeah. And that's all cool. But how is this valuable to you? There's something that Dan is doing differently that some people may think is charisma or think it's some kind of thing that's not accessible to them, where like Mr. Dan is such an incredible genius. He's so multi-talented. He can sing and do magic and do all these things at the world-class level. But there's something I want to unlock about Dan that's been on my mind that I really want you guys to understand. And those are the things that are the difference between someone who charges like $1,000 for writing a college essay or doing getting into a better school, like all those like college admissions tutor people, right? Versus $100,000 that Dan Ulin charges. So what is the difference between those two? I want you to pay close attention to what Dan does differently.
So I'm Dan Ulin. I'm the founder and CEO of Elite Student Coach. And yes, I mean, I've been working with kids since I was a kid. My very first job was teaching magic when I was 11, teaching magic to 8-year-olds in the Newton, Massachusetts creative arts system. So education has always been in my blood. And it culminated, working with kids my entire life. But about 15 years ago, when getting into top 100 schools, it hockey sticked. It just became incredibly, even more competitive than it was before. And friends came to me and they said, "Hey, Dan, can you help us work on our kids' application, our college essays?" And I realized then that it was not just about writing great essays and getting into great schools. It was about a lot more than that. And this pulled together all the things that I loved about the things that I'd done in my life: teaching, mentoring other kids, writing, unlocking what's inside these kids, which means your kids as well. And I get asked this all the time by the moms and dads with whom I work. Dan, what's the secret to getting into great schools? And as though there's some magic wand secret. But if I had to boil it down to one thing, it's this. Marketing at the end of the day. And I was very fortunate years after earning my undergrad degree in creative writing to go back and earn an MBA at my beloved alma mater and at the Wharton School. But if I had to boil down what marketing is all about, it's about being first, better, or different. And the ultimate way to be different is to be the only. Find a way to be a category of one. Run your own race. And that's comprised of a few different things. Learn to communicate like a boss. Learn the art of entrepreneurship. I don't think any kid should go to school without basic tools of entrepreneurship.
Today, yeah.
How to start a business. That doesn't have to be anything complicated. Start a workshop. Teach something that you love. Most importantly of all, learn how to mentor other kids. Learn how to mentor other people. These things aren't separate buckets. They all go together. And here's why they're so important. None of these are taught in high schools. None of these are even taught in undergrad business schools. Yep. Even if you go to Wharton undergrad or a Stern in New York or a Babson in Boston, they're all monetizable in any field, no matter what it is that you go in. If you go into medicine or art or teaching or engineering, and they're all AI proof. And in a world in which AI is getting more and more powerful, the thing that's really going to separate the exceptional from the unstoppable is that ability to lean into exactly what Dennis and I are doing right now. These emotional exchanges, yes? And I think one of the things that I try to impart to my mentees is, and this is the title, this isn't a plug for my new book, but this came up when you and I were in Pakistan a year ago, when I got onto the stage and realized this audience does not want to hear what I have to say. And this just came out of my mouth at the time. This comes from my background in improvisation. And I said, okay, the title of this presentation is Lean In, Step Up, and Stand Out. And what that really means is lean into the things that terrify you the most. At worst, they're going to be as terrifying as you thought, but they're probably not going to be. And whether that is writing or asking somebody out or talking to your teacher and learning to self-advocate. So lean in, step up and take your power. Learn to self-advocate. Whether that means, asking your parents, hey, will you help emotionally support me when I try this workshop in teaching other kids how to get, how to compete in math competitions. Even if you're afraid of that, lean into that, because one way or the other, the world is coming at you. Do that. and stand out. Stand out in a way that is uniquely you. I cannot tell you, having worked with thousands of kids over the years, and I work with kids now as young as 11 and as old as 29, because there's no monopoly on wisdom. I'm older than the kids with whom I work. I'm not wiser. I just have more miles on my tires. And there's this concept I call time folding, which is just, I bring things that I learned later in life. I would prefer not to have made this mistake, this learning opportunity, when I was in my 30s or 40s. Let me bring this to you when you're 11 or 12 or 13 or 14 or 15. If it works for you, great. You've saved decades. If not, I will gladly refund your misery. So as a mentor, I'm not a college coach, I'm a mentor because I work with kids all the way through college and sometimes even into grad school, no matter when they start. Mentorship is not a top-down process. It's a co-creative process. And I know that my experience with my mentors is really working when, I don't know, and I've talked to Dennis about this before, 8 or 9 sessions in, my mentor or my mentee will turn to me and say, hey, Dan, you know, that work we've been doing so far, those last 5 or 6 sessions, you've been right on, but that observation you just made, that doesn't apply to me at all. And why is that beautiful? Because it makes me a better mentor for them. It sharpens that knife and it models behavior that they can take into the world and become a better mentor for somebody else. So listen, this is a work in progress. We are all works in progress and things are unfolding over time. But this year, I offer a guarantee 100% of the kids with whom I work will get into one of their top 3 choices in reach schools or target schools or all their parents' money back or an extension in my continuity program into grad school. I make that guarantee because if that doesn't happen, I don't deserve their money. I've never missed, but that is not a brag on me. That is a brag on my mentees. And again, I'm so proud of them and what they've done. I'll give you an example of some of these workshops, this workshop model where you teach something that you love. I've had kids teach workshops in poetry, in debate. I've got 2 14-year-olds right now teaching financial responsibility to 6th graders. How awesome is that? One is teaching the concept of how to open your own bank account and the law of compound interest. The other is teaching kids micro-investing. So it doesn't matter what it is that you do, as long as you lean into it, make yourself a category of one and just say, I'm going to try. And these are the things when admissions officers are reading your applications, or even when you're in college, because college is a different ballgame. It doesn't end when you're in college. It even gets more intense. When you want to learn to self-advocate, let's say as a pre-med student, and instead of waiting until junior year or senior year to get that research opportunity, why wait that long? Grab that in your freshman year or your sophomore. So in case you can't tell, I'm nuts about what I do. Dennis is a dear friend. He's been a mentor and we unpack this in real time. I learn every day. You know, I was fortunate enough after college to move to Japan on what was supposed to be a 6-month research fellowship with Panasonic and the Department of Education there, putting together teaching materials for Japanese high schools. And I ended up staying 4 years. And the reason I tell you this is not to bore you with my background, but to tell you that every day I woke up in Japan, I realized I knew less. And that to me is a beautiful thing. ABC we're taught in schools is, you know, the alphabet. For me, ABC is always be curious. Dennis and I have talked about this a lot. Never lose that sense of curiosity. Always bring that, not childish, but childlike curiosity into your life. So, Dennis, I'm so blessed to have you as a friend and to work
amazing,
with you.
Dan.
And this is just a start.
I want you guys to really understand Dan Ulin. You just got a taste of how he thinks. And this is why wealthy parents will pay this $1 million mentor versus some other random person, because the things he's talked about, how to communicate, how to get people on stage, how to be an entrepreneur, how to have that special spark, that initiative, how to get these introductions to people that will help your kids get ahead. That's the kind of thing that parents who have the means will pay anything for. So like we know, like we're in Dubai, whatever, we flew first class to Qatar or wherever it was, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really nice. Remember the little like mojitos that they had and the food? It was amazing, right?
Non-alcoholic mojito.
Right. Or what is like the green juice? Yeah. And the seat that goes all the way down and all that kind of stuff.
It was great.
Now, those seats cost a lot more than the regular economy seats.
They do.
But those of us who want the very best for our kids will pay a premium for that. And what you're seeing through the other people, that the other amazing kids that Dan coaches, to these other parents that he's interviewed as part of his podcast and book, the other people that he's connected with and the Wharton School and all these opportunities you can't really pay for, is really that special aha that his clients pay for. I just want you guys to understand that. I wanted Dan and I to have a quick back and forth conversation. So we can have a series of I ask a question, he'll give a quick answer, because I want you to get a sense of those things that makes Dan, when he says elite student coach is the name of his company, what is it that makes him elite? What is it that makes his students elite?
Yeah, and elite doesn't modify the school. I'm of the opinion, the Harvards and the Yales and the Stanfords and Penn and where I went, those are great schools, but it's all about fit. It's everything in life is about fit. And I'm of the opinion that it's not where you go, it's about how you show up where you go. So elite modifies the kid, not the school. And I'll say this, I'm not the most expensive person in town, but I'm certainly not the cheapest. But I will tell you this, the $100,000 plus investment in me pays off over your child's life in the form of $2, $3, $4, $5 million more in what they will make. And again, there's that guarantee. Your children are your very best investment. And when Dennis talked about our getting those business class seats, it wasn't that we feel that we're better or fancier. We just arrived refreshed for our business day so we could maximize our time. You can always get more money. You just can't get more time.
Well, the point is people pay a premium because they want every advantage for their kids. And I want you guys to understand what is it that makes Dan premium versus all the other people that can promise, I'll get you into the college and teach entrepreneurship and teach you how to speak and mentor other people and hold workshops. What are those different pieces? And I think a lot of it is that when you see who Dan works with and you're like, you know what? I want to be like these families. I want my kid, because, all parents, they sort of like compare, right? I want my kid.
Of course they do. It's a natural thing to do.
But because that also drives referral. Like what % of your base comes from referral?
100%. I don't advertise. It's all from referrals. I'm going to give you a little evidence on how this works. So I talked about the workshop model where kids go out and teach something that's important to them. So this is a brag on some of my kids. We're before final decisions from the Ivy Plus this year. And one of my kids got into Stanford, 3 got into Penn. They all ran workshops. One ran a workshop in poetry, another ran one in literature, another one ran in robotics, another one ran in another form of engineering. But Penn and Stanford were the only schools this year and last year in which the admissions officers came back and said, congratulations on getting in. We want to tell you something very specific about why we admitted you. And they mentioned a couple of phrases that they talked about in their narrative. The narrative is simply the story that your child tells themselves that is then expressed in the college essays. But all of them had taught a workshop. Every one of those admissions officers said one of the things that factored very heavily into into you being admitted was that you took something you loved and you taught it to somebody else. So I cannot underscore the importance of this pay it forward mentorship thing. And your kid doesn't have to be a part of my program to do that. They can just go out, teach somebody and teach somebody else. That's a powerful model. I just happen to have done it. I don't know any other way to do it. So I hope you'll reach out. I hope I can be of service. But above all, I hope this was helpful to you today.
Awesome. Love to hear. What do you guys think? And if you had a chance to check out Dan Ulin's book, go buy it online on Amazon.
It'll be out later this year. Meanwhile, EliteStudentCoach.com. I'm always at your service. I guess that's about it, Dennis.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Ulin, live from Las Vegas.
Bye for now.
We'll see you in the next meeting.
We certainly will. Bye for now.